I sat across from my wife at the dinner table as she stared at me unblinking and said, "I'm done hiding, Jack. I have a serious lover now, and starting today, he'll be spending the night here occasionally." I didn't flinch. I took a slow sip of my coffee and let a slight smile touch my lips. "You might find him less useful than you think," I replied, watching her swirl the wine in her glass. "He just lost his most valuable asset. And he lost it while sitting exactly where you are." Amanda leaned back, a smug smile playing on her lips, that same arrogance I'd noticed growing in her for months. "I'm tired of the lies," she said again, like she was doing something brave. "Mason will be staying over sometimes. I hope you'll be mature about it." My hand tightened around the coffee mug, but my face stayed unreadable. No shouting, no desperate questions, just a long control breath. I had seen the signs, the unconvincing late nights, the sudden interest in her appearance, the way she jerked away when I reached for her. I'd known deep down, but hear her say it so openly, so defiantly was another thing entirely. She was baiting me, waiting for me to crack. She wanted to watch the pieces fall apart. Instead, I offered a faint smile. "I think he'll disappoint you," I said softly, lifting my cup again. "His best tool doesn't even work anymore." Amanda's smirk faltered, her brow creased. "What are you talking about?" I set my cup down gently and leaned in, holding her gaze. "You'll find out soon enough." For the first time, something shifted in her expression. She hadn't expected this kind of reaction. She was ready for an argument, maybe begging, but not this eerie calm. Not a husband who already seemed steps ahead. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice thinner now. I leaned back slowly, watching the unease build in her eyes. She thought she had the upper hand. That was her first mistake. "You'll understand," I said, standing up. "Enjoy your evening. It'll be the last one that feels normal." I left her there, her silence hanging heavy behind me. She had no idea what was coming. Weeks before that dinner, when my instincts told me something was wrong, I didn't confront her. I observed quietly, patiently. I installed discreet cameras, monitored her digital trail, even followed her once just to be sure. And of course, I found him. Mason Whitaker, a sleazy marketing consultant with a god complex. He wasn't hard to figure out. His past was a mess. Massive debt, a couple close calls with fraud charges. And most importantly, a sealed medical report I knew would come in handy. That night, I excused myself early, told Amanda I was turning in. She stayed downstairs with her wine, just as I expected. I watched from my office as she fixed her lipstick and sent him a text. "He's on his way," I murmured to myself, eyes on the security feed. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, Mason strutted into my home like he owned it, wearing a smug grin that made my stomach turn. He kissed her like she was already his. Stretched out like he belonged there. They thought they were safe. That's when I made my move. An anonymous tip went out. Minutes later, flashing red and blue lights painted the walls of our quiet Seattle street. Sirens split the night as police cruisers pulled up to the house. I stay at my monitor, calm, collected, while downstairs, chaos unfolded. Amanda and Mason jumped up, panic across their faces. Doors flew open. "Seattle PD, nobody moves." Amanda screamed, "What is going on?" An officer slammed Mason against the wall and snapped cuffs around his wrists. "Mason Whitaker, you are under arrest for wire fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft. You have the right to remain silent." Only then did I rise and walk downstairs, taking my time. Amanda looked up and froze when she saw me. Her face went pale. You did this." "Of course I did," I said, brushing a speck of lint from my shirt. Did you really believe I'd just sit back and accept this? She lunged at me wild with rage. But one of the officers held her back. Careful, I said quietly. You're still legally my wife. And when I'm finished with you, you won't have anything left. Mason was hauled out of my house in handcuffs, struggling as the officers pulled him away. Amanda stood frozen in the doorway, her hands gripping the frame like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She stared at me wide-eyed and shaking. "What the hell did you do?" she asked, voice unsteady. I crossed my arms. Just let the law do what it was supposed to. I paused, watching her carefully. You might want to sit down. This is going to get ugly. You think this is over? She snapped, her voice cracking. He'll make bail. You think you've won? I let out a quiet laugh. Amanda, you really don't get it. I pulled out my phone and tapped through a few files before turning the screen toward her. Let me show you the truth. There it was. Evidence, photos, messages, transaction records, everything laid out in cold, undeniable detail. Your so-called soulmate, he's not just a liar. He's a predator, a scam artist. And that's not even the worst of it. He's already got a record involving underage girls. She staggered back like I'd hit her. No, that's not true. I tilted the screen closer, letting the details sink in. Still think this will all just blow over? I asked, watching her face drain of color. Think about what people will say. You let this man into our home. Let him smile at our friends, sleep under our roof. Her legs gave out a little and she caught herself against the wall. I didn't know. You didn't care. I shot back. And now you're going down with him. I tapped my phone again. Oh, and those bank accounts you've been so casually using. You might want to check the balance. Her eyes snapped up. What did you do? Remember our joint savings account? The one you thought I never checked? I said with a calmness that made her flinch. I've been pulling the money out for months. Every hotel charge. Every gift you bought him, I kept the receipts. And this morning, I filed for divorce. With trembling hands, she pulled out her phone and opened the banking app. When she saw the balance, she nearly dropped the phone. It's all gone, she breathed. And the house, I added, mine. You signed a prenup. Amanda, you get nothing. She blinked rapidly, trying to keep the tears at bay, but her composure was slipping fast. The confident, smug woman I once knew was unraveling right in front of me. I checked the time. I've got things to do, I said. You've got about a day before the real storm hits. What storm? She asked, her voice barely audible. I smirked. Let's just say you're about to be famous. Right on cue, her phone started buzzing. Then again and again, she opened it, her face going pale as she scrolled. Screenshots of her conversations with Mason. The open marriage proposal she once proudly flaunted. The police report. All of it spreading like wildfire. Family group chats, our friends, her coworkers, even the women in her yoga class. Everyone had it. You sent this to everyone, she gasped. I turned to leave. Not just them. Your boss. Your parents. Hell, maybe the whole city if I get lucky. By the next morning, Amanda was a scandal of Seattle. Word had spread fast. Her affair, the lies, the connection to a known criminal. It was all too much for her employer. She was let go. Mason never made bail. Divorce papers were served before the end of the week. She had days to vacate the house. That night, she called me. Please, Jack, she sobbed. I made a mistake. I don't have anyone else. I let her beg. Then I calmly said, not my problem. And ended the call. She kept trying texts, voicemails, but I ignored them all. A week later, she showed up at my door. She looked nothing like the woman she used to be. Pale, messy, broken. "Please," she whispered, barely able to speak. "I need your help." I looked her over, taking in what was left of her dignity. "What happened to Mason?" I asked. "That perfect man of yours." She looked away. "He won't even return my calls." I gave a dry laugh. "Yeah, neither will I." And then I shut the door in her face. She crumpled right there on the porch, sobbing. But I didn't care.